Jay and Ty here with Breakdancer Robot. We're talking to Jim. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your last name.
This is Zub.
Zub, with the writer and creator of Skullkickers, which they have an awesome hardcover exclusively here at Emerald City.
No tax either.
So, first story arc has just wrapped up, and it has been a huge success. First printings sold out almost instantly, it seemed like.
Yeah, really cool.
So, like, were you caught off guard by the initial reception of the book?
I think everyone was. Image was definitely. I mean, we had the initial orders, and they were good, but they weren't fantastic. And we had a real good surge of reviews that came out, and all of a sudden it started to get momentum, and then a few key, websites or a few key press outlets started covering it heavily and getting on board, and getting really strong comparisons to other hit Image books, and then it really started kicking into gear. So to Image's credit, they were really quick on coming around on reprints. So there was a second printing of #1, and then when that blew through, we did third printing of #1. We did second printings of issue 2 and 3 because they were coming out as the buzz was really exploding on the book. So it's been really satisfying, and exciting, being a part of it, and just keeping our nose to the grindstone to make sure that the issues came out on time, so that we could take advantage of that momentum.
So like Skullkickers and Morning Glories, which is another Image book that has recently blown up. I mean, it seems like it's the return of the indie book. Is it kind of?
It's really good timing. I mean, the reality is that the creator-owned books that are coming out now they're creative. They're really such a huge variety of genres and concepts, and just a lot of high-quality work coming out. It's a great time to be a comic reader in terms of the breadth and the depth of the type of material that's coming out. So I like the fact that Image in particular has got such a huge variety that you can't peg it to one thing. There are great superhero books like Invincible, and you've got Walking Dead, which is like an emotional meat grinder of awesome.
Oh, we all know that one very well.
And then, but then you look at Morning Glories, where you've got this cool, mysterious teenage, school, stuff like that. You don't see that in any other publisher. Just that huge swath of variety. And when our book's coming out and everyone's doing superheroes, we're going to do fantasy. Everyone's doing grim and gritty, we're going to do something goofy and fun. And I think that's what the industry needs, is just variety. Fantasy as a genre is so visual and so dynamic, so I think it works great as comics, but I just want to see all genres. I want to see more of everything.
So, go ahead.
The two main characters that have been adventuring for a while don't have main names. Was that the biggest complaint by some readers, that they've never referred to each other by name?
Well, but here's the reality, right? Yes, I mean, that was something that we heard from some reviewers, but it wasn't even, I think people were shocked because they could read the issue, really enjoy it, and they didn't realize that they didn't get the names until after it was over.
Personally, I didn't even realize that was going on until I was reading the letters in the back and all this stuff, and I was like, oh, that's right.
They don't have names.
But it didn't even occur to my brain.
We made the characters iconic enough visually and personality-wise that they could easily be described. And you notice that the big guy's got primarily a red costume palette, and the dwarf's got primarily a blue costume palette. And so again, you can describe them by color, you can describe them by height, you can describe them by the visual appearance. One is bald, one is a beard. So we wanted to make it that there was enough contrast that it was easy to describe. I mean, we were sort of riffing on that whole man with no name thing. And because we were doing a mini-series, I felt we could just get away with doing 5 issues and never refer to them by name. Because if I know my friend and we hang out, I rarely use their name. I just
much like if someone's playing in an actual D&D campaign, they're not referring to each character by name when they're battling.
And so, now that we're doing it as an ongoing, we're going to have the names in there, but they're not going to use. It's not like all of a sudden the next issue they're going to call each other by name 100 times. But it's going to be in there, and then I think people are going to be surprised because we're going to reveal it, and then we're just going to move on. It's not a big
issue.
Exactly.
Which it shouldn't be. I mean, they still have been adventuring and stuff.
Got it.
The other thing that really gets me about your book is all the content you put in after each issue.
Thank you.
The soup recipe. You had Wizards of the Coast throw in D&D stats.
It wasn't official. It wasn't
official, but it was good.
I can't say that it was Dungeons & Dragons. It was a popular fantasy game that you may have heard of.
Generic RPG.
It was a D20-based role-playing game system, like schematics for playing these fantasy characters.
Those rules were put together by a person who happens to write for Dungeons & Dragons.
Nice.
So it worked out really well. They felt very accurate.
No, they did. They felt very accurate and easily that people could adapt into their
dropping in.
Hey,
you got it.
Yep. Into some other chaos that maybe your players
I always felt like, especially nowadays, where the letters page can be cool, but the reality is most of the discussion is online. Image literally said to me, "You got 3 or 4 extra pages at the back of the book that are typically for letters. What do you want to do with them?" And I said, "Well, what can I do?" And they said, "Well, if you don't put anything in, we'll just put more ads." I'm like, "Well, I want to use that content."
Yeah.
So I sort of said, "Well, what can we do that's fun and different, and give something that someone who buys the issues gets a bonus." So you get the recipe. You don't get that in the trade paperback, right?
Yeah.
You get we have that little fun Q&A that we did. We get some extra sketch material or stuff like that.
It's kind of nice because mostly the trade readers get all that cool extra content, not the single issue guys.
Right. And so now, the trade has some sketch stuff too, but it's different.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that the issue read, is very solid on its own. We might do some big monster collection later on with everything in it, but that's a long-term type of goal.
Yeah.
Right now, I want the issues to feel special, and every issue's got something fun in it. So we're looking at doing ridiculous things like crossword puzzles or paper dolls, or just as many goofy ideas as we can throw into the mix.
Just keep throwing them in.
Yeah, because as a reader from month to month, I want you to get entertained. And so the entertainment's in the story, and then the entertainment's in the little bonus stuff as well.
Well, do you have any other questions?
I do, but I can't remember.
Awesome. Well, Jim, thank you so much. We love the book. We're going to continue to push the hell out of it.
Sweet.
Keep up the work. And
Trade paperback March 9th in stores.
And any other things you want to plug?
Skullkickers.com, www.skullkickers.com.
Awesome.
And of course, imagecomics.com.
Cool. Well, thank you, Jim, and we appreciate the time.
Sweet.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Fantastic.